Greetings and welcome to Science Meets Vedanta, a platform dedicated to uncovering the core principles of Vedanta and highlighting the intriguing connections between contemporary science and timeless wisdom. I am Jayant Kapatkar, author of the book Science Meets Vedanta. Each week, inspired by insights from my book, we'll delve into a range of engaging topics at the intersection of these fields. I invite you to join us on this illuminating journey. This episode explores the relationship between ego, genetics, and the deeper structure of human existence from a Vedantic perspective. Vedanta explains that every living being is shaped by subtle inner forces that influence the body, mind, and personality. In human beings, this structure becomes especially complex because two seed bodies are involved: the ego seed body and the genetic seed body. The ego seed body carries the soul's history, tendencies, and karmic impressions, while the genetic seed body carries the physical and biological blueprint received from parents. Together, these two forces shape our actions, desires, instincts, and inner growth. Understanding their interaction helps us gain deeper insight into human nature, behavior, and spiritual evolution. The makeup of living beings. According to Vedanta, all living beings share a fundamentally similar inner structure. Although they may appear different outwardly, Vedanta explains that every living being is composed of three bodies. 1. Seed body. 2. Subtle body. 3. Gross body. Let us first understand the seed body. We are all familiar with the seeds of plants, flowers, and trees. It is remarkable that a large plant can emerge from such a tiny seed. This suggests that the potential form or blueprint of the plant is already contained within the seed. When the seed germinates, this hidden blueprint begins to unfold. A rose seed produces only a rose plant and nothing else, because the blueprint within it determines what it will become. Vedanta invites us to consider whether a similar principle may apply to all living beings. In this view, every living being has a seed body. Just as a rose plant emerges from a rose seed, every living being unfolds from its own seed body. When the seed body begins to unfold, the subtle body comes into being. Vedanta identifies the subtle body with the mind. As we will see, the gross body then follows its own distinct and independent journey. Understanding the seed body for human beings. When we examine our inner structure carefully, we can see that every human being is made up of three main components. 1. Ego. 2. Mind. 3. Body. These three components form the basis of our human experience. When we compare them with the three bodies discussed earlier, a clear relationship begins to emerge. The physical body corresponds to the gross body. There can be no confusion about this. As mentioned earlier, the mind corresponds to the subtle body. This leaves the seed body, which appears to be represented by the ego. Logically, we might expect each person to have only one seed body, with everything in life growing and unfolding from that single source. However, Vedanta presents a more nuanced view. In reality, the ego-body-mind complex is shaped by two distinct seed bodies rather than one. At birth, these two seed bodies come together and begin functioning as a single unit. Throughout life, we may assume that we have only one seed body, but in fact we are influenced by the following two seed bodies. 1. Ego seed body. 2. Genetic seed body. Each of these seed bodies begins to germinate and unfold according to its own independent blueprint. Naturally, each has its own direction, tendencies, and agenda. As we proceed, we will see how these two seed bodies sometimes support each other and sometimes work against each other. Understanding this interaction gives us valuable insight into the nature and functioning of human beings. Ego seed body. For many people, the idea of a seed body is new. This naturally raises an important question. Where do we find the ego seed body within ourselves? How do we recognize or understand it? Upon reflection, we can say that the seed body is the soul. The soul is the starting point of our existence, and everything in life unfolds from it. In this sense, the soul and the ego seed body are synonymous. The ego seed body, or soul, is like a spiritual resume. It carries your history, your skills, and your personality profile. This seed body travels with you, and with each rebirth, attaches itself to a new body. Every individual's ego seed body contains a blueprint shaped by its past history. Some of the information contained in the ego seed body includes 1. Ego, the feeling of I-ness. 2. Past history. 3. Personality traits or vasanas. 4. Pending karmas that still need to fructify. The ego seed body is your essential nature. It belongs uniquely to you. It is like a passport that you carry from one birth to another. Another important point is that the seed body is not static. It is dynamic and continuously updated. Every experience is recorded in the seed body as an impression or groove. When the same experience is repeated repeatedly, the groove becomes deeper. These deeper grooves can gradually modify the personality traits of the seed body. For example, if a person practices music, tennis, or meditation with great intensity and dedication, that skill creates a deep impression on the soul. This impression then becomes part of the ego seed body and is carried forward into future births. Genetic seed body. As we have just discussed, the ego seed body belongs to you. It is your passport to future births. The genetic seed body, however, follows a very different path and exists independently of the ego seed body. We may begin with a simple question. What is the source of the physical body? The simple answer is that the physical body comes from the parents. A tiny cell is formed through the combination of chromosomes from both parents. This tiny cell is the seed body, the genetic seed body. It carries the genetic blueprint received from the two parents. From this tiny cell, the body begins to grow in the mother's womb. All the different parts of the body, both internal and external, develop from this genetic seed body. It is truly remarkable how this process unfolds, the magic of nature, combining the ego seed body and genetic seed body. It is important to notice that the ego seed body and the genetic seed body are distinct from one another. The genetic seed body grows within the womb, while the ego seed body is separate from it. In Vedantic terms, the ego seed body is understood as waiting for a suitable physical body. Without the ego seed body, the developing physical body remains incomplete. This raises an important question. When does the ego seed body combine with the genetic seed body? In other words, when does the soul enter the physical body in the womb? There is no scientific data or proof for this, but the Garbha Upanishad addresses this subject. It provides a detailed timetable describing when different parts of the body appear in the womb and indicates that the soul enters the physical body in the 7th month. This timetable may or may not be accurate. No one can say with certainty. However, it is reasonable to understand that the genetic seed body is already present in the mother's womb when the soul enters the physical body. Only when the ego seed body merges with the genetic seed body does the person become complete. This supports the idea that the ego seed body and the genetic seed body are separate entities. Traits of genetic seed body. The physical body grows from the genetic seed body. Its organs, traits, and characteristics are shaped by this genetic foundation. The genetic seed body has many important features. Let us look at a few key ones. 1. DNA code. Scientists describe deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, as the basic genetic code of living beings. DNA carries the instructions for development, functioning, growth, and reproduction. In this discussion, the DNA code represents the genetic seed body. The human body contains trillions of cells, and each cell carries DNA. The traits and tendencies of the physical body are encoded within this genetic material. These traits come through the genetics of the parents and ancestors, and they are passed on to the human body through the genetic seed body. It is important to understand that these traits belong to the body. They do not belong to the ego seed body. The ego seed body has its own collection of personality traits which belong uniquely to you, while the traits of the genetic seed body come from your biological lineage. This may seem complicated, but the key point is the clear distinction between the ego seed body and the genetic seed body. 2. Procreation. Procreation is one of the key functions of the human body and indeed of all living beings. The continuation of the species is its central purpose. This tendency is built into the genetic seed body. Attraction between the sexes is also part of this genetic program, because without such attraction, procreation would not take place. Therefore, this characteristic belongs to the physical body and not to the soul. 3. Sense organs. Human beings have 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Through these 5 senses, we connect with the external world. Since the sense organs are part of the physical body, they arise from the genetic seed body. These organs are powerful because they have their own desires and preferences. The eyes seek pleasant sights and avoid unpleasant ones. The ears prefer soothing sounds and avoid harsh or irritating noise. In the same way, all the sense organs seek pleasant experiences and try to avoid unpleasant ones. These tendencies come from the genetic seed body. The sense organs can become a power center of their own, capable of influencing and even dominating the physical body in pursuit of their goals. We will look at some examples of this shortly. 4. Survival instinct. All living beings possess a survival instinct. When there is danger, they do whatever they can to protect the body. When they're hungry, they search for food. This instinct is programmed into the genetic seed body and plays a central role in preserving life. Working of the ego seed body and genetic seed body. When the ego seed body combines with the genetic seed body in the womb, a remarkable transformation takes place. The soul, which is the ego seed body, brings with it the power of awareness. Through the soul, the power of the subject, the power of the object, and the power of intelligence enter the physical body. This power gives rise to the mind and activates the functions of the body. In this way, the body-mind complex becomes operational. By itself, the ego seed body or soul is non-functional. The ego cannot act without a body. It needs a body through which to operate. In this sense, the ego or soul seeks a suitable body. When the soul enters the physical body, the ego seed body and the genetic seed body come together and begin functioning as a single unit. The ego then closely associates itself with the physical body and begins to say, "I am this body." Although the two seed bodies remain distinct in origin, the ego identifies completely with the physical body and associates itself with all its strengths and limitations. As mentioned earlier, the sense organs of the physical body are powerful and have their own desires and needs. In the same way, the ego or soul is also a self-centered force with its own desires and needs. It is almost as if two rulers are trying to govern the body-mind complex. Each wants to dominate the other. At times they cooperate, and at other times they oppose each other. This tension between the ego and the physical body has many consequences. Vedanta teaches that the ego-body-mind complex expresses itself through 3 gunas or qualities. These gunas arise through the interaction between the ego seed body and the genetic seed body. Whenever we act, one of the 3 gunas is involved in completing the action. Sometimes one guna dominates, while at other times another takes over. 1. Rajas guna. 2. Tamas guna. 3. Sattva guna. Rajas guna. In Rajas guna, the ego is dominant and constantly seeks action. It is driven by strong desires to become wealthy, famous, successful, or powerful. To fulfill these desires, the ego uses the 5 sense organs of the body to engage with the external world. Once one desire is fulfilled, another quickly takes its place, creating a never-ending cycle of activity and restlessness. In Rajasic action, the ego takes charge, while the body-mind complex plays a supporting role in carrying out its goals. Tamas Guna. There are times when the ego becomes lazy, lethargic, or dull. It may feel depressed and lose interest in action. During such periods, the five sense organs can begin to influence and control the ego. If vigilance is lacking, the sense organs may dominate, and the ego may lose control over its actions. When this happens, the possibility of non-dharmic action increases significantly. Such actions are tamasic in nature. They can occur in many situations, ranging from small everyday choices to serious life decisions. 1. A doctor may have told you that sweets are not good for your health, yet when you see a tempting sweet on the table, the taste buds take over and direct the hand to pick it up and put it in the mouth. The ego seems helpless and the sense organ drives the action. This is an example of a tamasic action. 2. When the ego is depressed and lethargic, it becomes vulnerable. Under these conditions, the sense organs may take over and seek pleasure and satisfaction through, say, drinking. If the ego does not resist, this pattern can grow stronger and may lead to alcoholism. Sattva Guna. In Sattva Guna, the ego becomes clear and strong. It recognizes that lasting satisfaction and happiness cannot be found in external objects. Instead of being pulled outward by the sense organs, the ego turns inward and seeks the true source of happiness. This inward movement can bring about a deep transformation. Qualities such as compassion, goodness, forgiveness, and inner peace begin to emerge. Thus, we can see that there is a continuous interaction between the ego and the body-mind complex. Sometimes they work together, and other times they operate in opposite directions. This interplay continues throughout life. At death, the soul or ego seed body disengages from the genetic seed body and no longer has access to the body-mind complex. The ego seed body becomes isolated once again and waits for a new body through which it can resume its journey and actions. Seed body and other living beings. We have just seen that human beings possess two seed bodies, the ego seed body and the genetic seed body. Does this mean that all living beings also have both of these seed bodies? This is not an easy question to answer. It seems likely that most living beings, other than human beings, have only a genetic seed body. They do not appear to have an ego seed body. Such living beings do not have the same sense of I-ness, nor do they possess the same power of thinking and rationalization found in human beings. Instead, they function primarily through the genetic seed body. They rely on survival instincts to find food, avoid danger, and procreate. As discussed earlier, these characteristics belong to the genetic seed body and not to the ego seed body. In this sense, most living beings appear to function instinctively rather than through ego-based self-awareness. Human beings seem to be unique in possessing an ego seed body. Other living beings may display more advanced organizational skills, but these abilities still arise from the genetic seed body rather than from an ego seed body. In conclusion, Vedanta shows that human life is shaped by the interaction of the ego seed body and the genetic seed body. The genetic seed body provides the physical structure and instincts, while the ego seed body carries awareness, karmas, and inner tendencies. Together, they influence our desires, actions, personality, and spiritual growth throughout life. Understanding this relationship helps us see human existence as both biological and deeply spiritual. If you are interested in delving deeper into topics like this, we invite you to discover more in my book, Science Meets Vedanta, available on Amazon. Additionally, we now have a library of around 35 podcasts covering many different topics. Feel free to browse through them at your convenience. If you enjoyed today's episode, We encourage you to share it with your family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an upcoming episode.